If you're a writer, you probably already know what writer's block is. And the conception you might have of it is kind of like a ton of bricks falling. Well, it might feel like that, or it might be just like, I am lost, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to write next. But there are manifestations of writer's block that don't feel like that. There are types of writer's block that you don't even notice, and they're blocking you from being your highest and best self as a writer. More important than that, they're blocking you from enjoying writing. And I have this belief that writing should be enjoyable and it should be your best. It should be putting your heart and soul on the paper. Not everyone feels like that, and that's totally fine. But that's the way I feel, and that is the way I believe the majority of writers want to be. One of the reasons understanding writer's block is so important is because of the opposite of writing block, which is being in flow. And you, as a writer, probably have experienced this as well. Everything is just happening the way it is supposed to. It feels great. You're making a good story or a good narrative, a good, whatever it is, how-to nonfiction, whatever it is, it's flowing and it feels good. And that is important, and that makes it so much more fun for you. And that is the exact opposite of writer's block. One of the most important things to know about writing and virtually any creative process is the sine wave. The sine wave is that thing that goes up and down. You might have, if you took trigonometry, you already know about a sine wave, and you might know about it from other causes, but a sine wave is something that goes up and it goes down over time. I've been coaching writers for many years, and I have never seen an instance where someone didn't go through some form of that. Now, a sine wave, mathematically, it's a very even wave. It goes down, it goes up the same amount. The sine wave I'm talking about, as it affects us as creative people, it can be very uneven. It goes down a little bit, it goes way up, it goes way down. This sine wave will always act on you as a writer. In my experience, I have never seen it not fail to act, as I said before. What happens is it affects how we perceive ourselves as a writer, our work in general, and our specific project. That means that sometimes we think, oh, this is really good, this is pretty amazing, yeah, this is fantastic, this is an amazing book, yeah, it's very, very good, it's pretty good, it's okay, it's not so bad, it's nah, and then it's not good, yeah, no, this is awful, this is horrible, this is crap. And it might not go that far down, it might not go that far up, sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't, but the important thing for you to know is that it will always go up and down, and your own estimation of yourself as a writer will always go up and down, for the most part. Now, there are people that jump off on those curves, and what I mean by that is, for example, it's going up really high and people think like, oh, I'm a really good writer, I'm incredible, I don't have anything to learn, and it just levels off instead of going back down. And the problem with that is then they never get better. The thing I believe that is awesome about writing, that I believe that fulfills us, yes, people read our books, they get something from it. You might have gotten an email saying, I read your book and it changed my life. That is a pretty damn good feeling. But I believe the other part of writing is that it helps us to become a better human being through the writing process. If you are putting your heart and soul on the paper, as it were, most of us do, I think, electronic. 99.3% of writers write electronically. But if you are putting yourself out there for people to read, for people to know, that's a very big deal. And it's going to inspire growth within yourself. I believe that's one of the best things about writing. It's about our own self-growth. And if we are participating in that and we are growing ourselves, other people are also going to grow. The sine wave, right? If we have jumped off at the top and we've leveled out, we think we can't get better, we're missing a huge part of the enjoyment, of the joy of writing. And when you think you can't get better, you are probably not going to get much better. However, if you're aware of this sine wave, if you're aware of this going up and down, then it is much easier to look at what you're doing that can be better, because guess what? It can always be better. One of my mentors, Donald Moss, the Donald Moss Agency, is a big literary agency in New York, he told me, he says, your book is never finished, and you as an author are never going to stop getting better if you have that intent. And again, I think that's one of the most important parts of writing. So this is one of the things that causes writer's block. When we don't keep in focus that it's about getting better as a writer, and we lose focus of that sine wave, or we have no knowledge of it, and it goes up and it goes down, and then I hit the bottom part of that and I think, oh, I'm no good. My book is no good. My work in general, the 3 books I published, the awards I got, they mean nothing because they're no good. And some of that self-talk goes on. I know I do it. I've talked to other writers who do it. So being aware of that sine wave, that's a very, very important component in dealing with and eliminating writer's block. Another important component of writer's block is not recognizing that what I'm writing may not be what I should be writing. And when I say should, I'm not a believer in shoulds. You should do this. You should do that. I do not believe in that at all. But writing should be fun, in my opinion. Writing should be a lot of fun. And it should be fulfilling. And it should bring joy to the writer and to the reader. That's my philosophy around writing. And you're only going to do that if you write what you really want to write. Yes, it's important. It's important to write things that people are going to like. If you love something, I can practically guarantee other people will like it as well. As you can tell by the instruments you're always going to see hanging on my wall, I am a musician. I've played professionally. I really enjoy it. Not as much as I enjoy writing, but I love performing for people. I love that connection between the audience and the musician. And I've played with some famous people. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to do that. And what I have seen through my own practical experience is that sometimes people get so into the esoteric part of the music that other people cannot appreciate it. I have played with some amazing musicians that were so into that, and they had very little audience. Incredible talent, incredible capability to play, but they have very little audience because they didn't consider who is going to listen to my music. I believe as writers, we want to consider who is going to read my writing? Who is my audience? If we have that in mind, if we pay attention to who our audience is, then it's going to be a little different. However, we need to make it so it is fun for us. We need to write what we really want to write. And I know this sounds like a no-brainer. It's like, duh, of course I'm going to write what I want to write. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people write what they think is going to sell. A lot of people play music because they think that music is going to sell. And that is the only reason they're out there playing. I'm not going to name any bands, but some of my favorite bands, like you two, started out incredible, and they're just writing from their soul. They're making this amazing music, and then they kind of adjusted to what people wanted. People wanted to hear, and they still fill the stadiums. They're still awesome musicians, great bands. They produce good music, but I believe, and this is just my opinion, not on the level of what they used to. Same with writers. I've seen so many writers plateau. I'm not going to name names. But many writers, their first, their second, maybe even their third work, it's just incredible. I've known writers that have produced like 7, 8 books. The 9th book is like, it tanked. And why did it tank? Because the audience wasn't considered, maybe, but I think more often is because they didn't consider what brought them joy as a writer. And this is one of the things that causes writer's block. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned that sometimes we can be affected by writer's block and not know it. One of the ways that happens is by writing what does not bring us joy. By writing what does not bring us joy, we get blocked in a different way. We get blocked in the sense that we cannot, this is my opinion, we cannot be our best as a writer. That is so important. And we may not even be aware that we're being blocked. And I've heard writers say, yeah, I never get writer's block. Okay, that's great. That's great. Good for you. You may be getting writer's block that you're not aware of. So what I want to leave you with today is this. Notice how you feel about what you're writing. And this doesn't mean you have to stop the book you're under contract for, or do something completely different, do a different genre, but look at it and see, how can I construct my writing experience that will bring me more joy? How can I make this more fun for me? That is your homework assignment. I would love for you to do that. And please write in the comments down below, how can writing be more fun for you? In my current book, The Reluctant Visionary, I recently switched genres. I went to magical realism, which is a fantasy subgenre. What I was doing was general fiction, women's fiction. It could be considered Southern Gothic. I've tried the different genres, but I really want to do that because that is most fun for me. There's an audience for that, huge audience for magical realism. The Green Mile is a movie based on that. Liar, Liar. There's so many books and movies where the crawdads sing is magical realism. There are so many books and movies that are based on magical realism, which is not the point. The point is, that's what I really enjoyed. So I'd love for you to put down, how can you make your writing more fun? That's how I made my writing more fun. What can you do? Or what are you willing to try? Leave a comment below. I'd love that. And if you click subscribe, that'd be awesome. But I'd really love to hear your comment. I want to get some interaction with you and see. And if you have any ideas for another video, what you'd like to know about writing, what you'd like me to cover in terms of a topic, I would love that too.